Good morning, kids. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Josh Scorcher about the top 10 squad bosses. Now let's hop in and see who made this list. Ooh, a new intro. Nice. New clips. And some more. Loving the new intro, man.
Fighting
Good
more
job.
than one boss at a time is a fun idea, but tricky to pull off well. While on one hand, you can produce a lot of flavor in the fight via contrasting personalities and abilities, but having to keep track of multiple opponents can be very bad for us because we usually run the risk of getting bum rushed. For the ground rules of qualifications, I'd like each squad to have at least 3 minimum members. A tag team constitutes its own list. Speaking of, this is a squad boss list, not a commander one. What do I mean by that? While they both feature a team of bosses, the commander boss has one guy barking orders at a bunch of tiny mooks fighting to the grave. Tag team bosses take turns when they fight you rather than actually taking you on altogether. A squad has that boss battling alongside his platoon, inspiring them to be at their best and having the team feel like an actual cohesive unit. Rewarding bonus gold stars that the squad is made of varied personalities with synchronized abilities. Most of all, if they're foils to the main character's party, that's just extra icing on this harmonious cake.
Oh, hey. Number 10.
We take it for granted nowadays, but Super Mario RPG really expanded the Mushroom Kingdom and made it feel like a more living and breathing world, at least compared to the rather basic plots and settings of previous titles. This is partly due to the introduction of fun characters that expand Mario's two-dimensional universe. Arguably one of the biggest standout fights occurred.
Oh yes, from 2D into 2.5D.
When we're on our search for the 6th star piece. To set the scene, our party sets foot inside the Barrel Volcano when all of a sudden...
Mastodon! Pterodactyl! Triceratops! Saber-tooth tiger!
Oh yeah.
Tyrannosaurus! Oh my gosh, it's a Beetleborgs reference!
What?
How do I still know what that is?
Even I know
actually,
that.
it's the Axum Ranger.
Okay, I do know what Beetleborg is, but I only ever watched like one episode and I was like, nope, and left it. I mean, it's just not that interesting.
A group of multicolored teams with attitude, big axes, and hired by Smithy to hinder us from getting the star piece. And yes, they're walking, talking parodies of the Power Rangers, or Super Sentai, whatever your preference is. Y'all gotta find out in the comments either way. From the colorful getup, to the silly poses, to the over-dramatic speeches. These guys spell subtlety with a Z, and I love it! Heck, they even got their own... Oh, not a mecha. Just a plain old axe-shaped spaceship. Aesthetically, they're a hoot and a half, but how are they as actual bosses? Not too shabby, actually. Each ranger is an eerie counterpart to our own party members and has its own distinct ability and weakness that relates to its suit color. For example, red is the more balanced of the group, just like Mario. Pink is the healer and only girl, much like Peach. Each is tough to beat on its own, so having them all together is downright difficult. But you can still pick them off one by one. Once each ranger is beaten, they'll try to plow through your defenses with their Mechazordon head ripoff. Take that and kablamo! Congrats! So you can put that on your resume that you defeated the Power Rangers.
Axum Rangers.
So, all in all, this was a very fun brawl. The Axum Rangers stood out hilariously, and seeing a parody of the Power Rangers was a much appreciated novelty. Feels good to know that, while the show ain't perfect, still leaves a lasting impression on pop culture today. However, I still had to dock a few.
God rest Tommy Oliver. Oh, I forget the actor's actual name, but we all know him. So God rest him. May he forever be in the Power Matrix. Morphing Matrix. Damn it!
Points. The fight is fun, but there really isn't a lot of teamwork between the squad. Considering who they're spoofing, that's a big oof. Also, minor nitpick, it feels like they could have used more build-up. You don't get to face any of them before now, so they literally come out of nowhere, and it doesn't really feel all that effective. Still, credit where credit is due. They made a splash with their grand debut and definitely gave us a tussle to remember. It was enough of a splash that they featured in Super Mario Bros. Z.
Oh, okay. Didn't actually know that, but that was cool to hear. On to number 9.
Boss battles in the Touhou franchise are generally one-on-one affairs. I mean, one enemy creating a torrential downpour
Oh
of
my
bullets
God.
is enough. Imagine 3. Well, Perfect Cherry Blossom gave us the Prism River Sisters for anyone masochistic enough to want to experience that. In terms of
Oh
build-up
my
or an
God.
established dynamic, there's really not much to say here. There are 3 artificial ghost sisters, and they get in your way. That's pretty much it. The only real unique thing about them is that they're modeled after their creators' dead sisters.
Ah, Toho. Lollies with a side of trauma.
As you'd expect, the fight consists of them combining their musical and bullet talents to flood the screen with all manner of things.
Oh
But
my
what makes this fight
God.
interesting is that it will change depending on which character you play. Every one of the protagonists gets a different main sister to fight against. This ends up giving the battle some replay value and is something you don't really see in a whole lot of boss fights. Unfortunately, I
That
can't
is
really
interesting.
place this one any higher since the sisters don't really get super interesting attacks, at least compared to the rest of the game, other than a lot of bullets. Neither do they have any fun personalities
Lot
to
of
play off of
bullets.
each other, which is a real shame because I think there's a lot of potential here. Like, come on, show us the personalities of the dead sisters and not force us to make guesswork through their clothing.
Though maybe we should just be glad that the 4th sister never got into this whole thing.
4th sister?
Imagine fighting 4 of these things at once.
No, yeah, I'll agree with you on that. Well, from Dead Sisters, we move on to number 8.
Just be glad I didn't spend the entire entry complaining about Gilbert. Yeah, the 3 Trails fans in my audience will get that one.
Ooh, shit.
For those not in the know, which is less of you than I thought, the Trails series is one of the largest RPG series around, and its lore makes The Witcher look like a high school book report. As
Whoa.
mentioned in recurring bosses, plug, there are a lot of times in these games where you repeatedly fight the same boss. I talked a lot about McBurn then, but this time I'll talk about the other one I was considering. The Steel Maiden Aryan Road.
Ooh.
People who played Azure last year or prior know how difficult the fight against her is. Super strong attacks and insane HP, she's pretty infamous amongst fans. Well, like with
I like
McBurn, you don't need to beat her to continue. So when is the first time you actually have to? Well, 3 games and 200-ish hours of gameplay later, you finally confront her
3
at the
games?
tail end of Chapter 3 of Cold Steel 3. Backstory will take forever, so TLDR, you're on a field trip. Shadow Organization starts bombing a port town. Your overpowered swordsman of her principal joins you because she's fight-hungry. Anyways, with Aryan Road is her group, the Stall Ritter, a trio of knights that have been causing you plenty of their own trouble. Especially the leader Duvali, who you fight half a dozen times up to this point. When you finally reach the 4th of them on
Damn.
the roof, well, this scene does it best.
Duvali, Ines, Enea, you may fight with your strength uninhibited. Yes, my lord.
Huh. Okay.
We're about to see a fight unlike any other.
The fight begins with 3 lesser knights using the Radiant Star formation, giving them all a huge buff right from the get-go. Never mind the
Oh,
Steel
crap.
Maiden herself can also self-buff and heal. At this point, you need to separate the group and make sure they don't overwhelm you. Each member has unique attacks, gimmicks, and supers that can really hurt if you aren't careful. Especially Aryan Road and Duvali, who have their own cinematic S-crafts that can one-shot your characters if you aren't careful. Between the powerful
Damn.
area attacks, buff stats, and unfathomed force, you're in for a rough fight. Or you can activate Reen's Spirit Unification, spam F-Scraps to break all 4 of them, and then just spam Sarah's Brave Aura to accelerate your turn so they never get a chance to act. You know,
Haha.
fun. Seriously, Cold Steel 3's exploits make Final Fantasy V seem like lunatic mode Fire Emblem. Trust me, there were
What?
many squad fights I could have put here from the series. But with the multi-game build-up, the fact that both sides could kill the other quickly, and their reputation amongst fans, I don't think we were going to get a better showdown. Well, at least till you fight her again in Cold Steel 4. Twice.
Oh
or
my
heck,
God.
even later in Cold Steel 3. Yeah, never mind.
Oh boy, you fighting that last lady a lot. Well, on to number 7 we have...
Bug Fables. A Paper Mario fan's response to Nintendo being in denial that Sticker Star sucks. We were given a tried and true successor that combines all the best aspects of Paper Mario, alongside a story and flair that gave its own firm identity.
Damn.
Kabu is best boy. Fight me! Once you beat the game, you get a handful of post-game quests to take care of. one of which is a super boss fight against your association leader, Maki. Being the muscle of his own team, Maki is accompanied by his sister Kina, who is the speed and ailment dealer, as well as Yin, a juvenile moth who is also the team cleric. These three essentially
healer.
function as a counter team to your own, and fighting them can be really grueling if you don't come prepared. Maki hits like a truck, so he can easily one-shot a teammate with low defense. Kina's attacks can be tricky to time your guard to, and she's not above poisoning or paralyzing your allies either. Yin not only heals and buffs the two, but she can even cure them of any status ailments. A lot of things can
Damn
happen in
cleric.
this fight depending on who you choose to target first. If you attack Maki, Kina will get agitated. If you take down Yin, Maki will permanently buff himself. If Maki goes down, Kina buffs herself. If Kina goes down before Yin, she gets jealous that Maki didn't buff for her and revives herself. Aw, how charmingly obnoxious. And if both Maki and Kina go down, Yin will simply retreat from battle.
Phew.
Sure, there are a lot of ways you could cheese this fight, especially with the fully powered Leaf using Bubble Shield and Icefall, or spamming Vice specials to bypass the ridiculous defenses. But not everyone comes to the endgame with the same or optimal setup, so this fight can still be ruthless to many players.
Yep.
Admittedly though, it does seem like Maki is the sole highlight of this team. He is the one we meet at the start of the game, and has supervised our team on their various expeditions. Kina just kind of hangs around once in a while, and Yin isn't even relevant until post-game. Had their chemistry been a lot more present before the
well, look
fight,
at that.
it would have been much higher on the list. But as it is, it's still a great fight that highlights some legitimate teamwork between bosses in a turn-based battle.
Seems like it'd be fun. Well, from the micro of the bugs, we move on to the big number 6.
Oh, Kirby. I don't see anything wrong with this.
Well, who are you choosing, Josh?
After the wunderkinds of Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot, everyone was excited for the next Kirby game and what it would bring to the forefront. What we got was fine.
Huh.
Star Allies was
Allies.
fun, but
Okay.
felt bare bones being one of the shortest and easiest Kirby games in recent memory. Well, HAL Labs pulled a Monster Hunter and fixed it by giving us a bunch of free updates, making it go from a standard Kirby game to a giant party of Kirby fan
Hey,
favorites.
Susie.
And don't worry, the lore in this game goes all out too, despite them censoring it a bit in the West. In the game, there are 3 mage sisters named Francisca, Flamberge, and Zan Partizan that act as secondary antagonists. The fights with them are alright, each of them using a weapon based on their name and a different element. However, when
Fire,
you beat
ice,
all
lightning.
3 and their surrogate father, Highness, dear old dad sacrifices them and himself to summon his dark god Void Termina to attack Kirby. Kirby succeeded in
Correction, to summon a Dark God, not the Dark God.
killing God again, but the 3 sisters were lost as a result. Or so we thought. The game's final update, Heroes in Another Dimension, is Star
Ooh.
Allies' redemption arc, finally giving us a pretty challenging mode that forces you to play every Dream Friend. At the end of the journey, we find a corrupted Highness whose soul survived Termina's destruction. And when we beat him, the
Corrupt
3 sisters
Highness.
emerge as they decide to fight you for killing their master once more. This time, they will fight as a cohesive unit, sharing an HP bar. Each of them will
Oh,
use
not
the
bad.
same weapons and elements from before, but this time, they will combine their attacks to deal even more insane damage. This would be even more dangerous in the Ultimate Choice Arena, as you need to dodge their screen-covering attacks to take as little damage as possible. It's a fantastic fight that acts as the capstone to the game, as beating them gets you the final ending. If you are skilled enough to get at least 100 hearts, you'll be able to save the
yes.
sisters and get a happy ending. If not, they will perish under the curse that has befallen them.
Damn.
As always with modern Kirby, it gets way darker than it needs to, but still gives us a fantastic fight with 3 magical girls whose elemental abilities are a force to be reckoned
I
with.
just realized you Highness is constantly just in the background dead throughout the rest of the fight.
Huh, probably should have put them on one of the elemental boss countdowns. Well, we can write that wrong here.
Well, there you go. From the 4 of 6, we move to number 5.
Praying mantis, one of the deadliest hunters in the insect world, and an even deadlier mate in the game of love. To us mere men, gazing down on this little insect, we do not fear the mantis. But to the minuscule world of the bug, to find yourself face to face with this fine-trained assassin
What are
is
you
to
doing, like
gaze into
Hollow
the
Knight?
many, many eyes of death, and to be forced to welcome it. And lucky you in Hollow Knight, you get to fight
of a
3
bitch.
of them. Twice!
You can only imagine the joy I feel in my heart right now.
These are the Mantis Lords. The 3
Okay,
sisters.
no. How did I guess that? I haven't even played Hollow Knight. I was like, what, are you talking Hollow Knight? And there it is, Hollow Knight. Damn, I'm good.
Leaders of the Mantis Village. We first encounter this ghoulish trio in an optional battle in the village after you kind of bust into the throne room. They accept your challenge and lower the gates, but they're not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in with them. The duel
Ooh.
comes in 2 phases. In phase 1, you brawl with one of the lords, and already she's got you on the ropes. She's lightning fast and tosses some really hurty blade boomerangs.
She?
Every so often, she'll straight up try to impale you with her lance. But hey, look at the bright side. She's tame compared to phase 2, where you fight both her sisters. They mostly work together, dashing into you and tossing boomerangs at you. But the good news is, they mostly attack independently, so you can, in theory, find a way around them with your own combinations. Knock one out, then you just have to finish the other, and woo! Finally you're in the clear. Once the
Yes.
fight is done, the Mantis Lords respectfully let you go, and you can move through the tribe without fear of getting attacked again. All said and done,
Thank
those 3
God.
let you off easy. But hey, you'll not have to worry about them again, right? Right?
No.
I'm in danger.
Oh no,
Oh,
it ain't
stop.
over. The Unholy Trio makes a comeback in the Godmonster content pack, but this time as the Sisters of Battle. At first, the duel plays out more
Ooh.
like the original, where one sister tries to knock your block off, but come phase 2, all 3 of them get into the act. And yes, they are faster and deadlier than last time. Fortunately, the strategy is mostly the same as the previous fight. There's just a third one.
At least
Once
you got
take
more
them out, it's
health.
just a hop, skip, and a jump to the next rest area. And after all that, you definitely needed it. Outside of the difficulty spike between both brawls, both encounters with the trio have one thing in common. A lot of fun, fast-paced action that'll keep you on your toes every step of the way. It's true what they
Oh,
say.
man.
A family that chills together, kills together.
Well, from the Mantis Lords of number 5, we move to number 4.
Hey, Xenoblade, what have you been up to? Actually, don't tell me. It's still really for Trails and Toho lore. I'll just assume it has something to do with the magic sword and call it a day. Yeah, I don't talk about this series too much
Wibbly
despite
wobbly
how popular it is
magic
nowadays.
sword.
No beef with it or its fans, just it belong. While Xenoblade 1 has always been a cult classic, we have to thank Xenoblade 2 for bringing the whole series back to the spotlight. Speaking of Xenoblade 2, I don't know why thinking about it gives me urges to use 30 bells, talk about darkness, and have sea salt ice cream. Must be the wind. Alright, let's talk the main villains
I
of
don't know
Xenoblade
anything
2,
about it.
Torna. Ever since their leader pulled a Sephiroth shish kebab on Rex, these guys have been a terrifying threat to our heroes. While Jin and Malice are the most interesting, there are other members of Torna which act as recurring threats throughout the game. Those would be Akos, Patroka, and Mikhail. While you do fight Jin and Malice a bunch, these 3 give their own style of headaches. The battles with them tend to
Go
be
ahead.
pretty energetic as you fight each of them individually. But things finally come to a head when you fight the 3 of them together at the end of Chapter 6.
Okay, why does one guy have fans? I mean, I get the lance, I get the bow, but fans? Really? Give the guy a scythe or something. Not fans.
With no blades to help them and relying on their own wits and skills, they come at you with everything they got. As expected, each of them have certain gimmicks that you need to worry about. Akos will debuff the party and act as the group healer. Patroka is the main damage mage using powerful area attacks to do wide amounts of damage. And
Damn.
finally, Mika will act as the tank and physical damage user. In terms of team comp, it's a solid matchup. You also need to be careful about which one you take out, as it will determine which buffs and debuffs are on the field. Luckily, like most RPGs, the
Oh,
fight
crap.
isn't bad if you overgrind by doing a bunch of side activities. Torna's Finest is a great ensemble of recurring enemies that you fought before, but they finally get to go all out against you. If I were to dock any points, it's that we get their final battle in the game when we were finally about to learn about their backstory and motivations, so it makes the fight seem
finally.
less impactful by comparison. Honestly, if we got one more scuffle later, it would have been way better. Well, glad we get the rematch in challenge mode, even if it is non-canon.
Well, damn it. Well, from a non-canon final, we move to number 3.
In the Trails series, Tales series. There's so many RPG bosses on this
What
list.
the?
One recurring archetype is a team of villains that serve as the enforcers for the big bad. Trust me, this franchise loves its evil doppelgangers. Because this is like
Yeah.
the 5th RPG on this list and I don't want to lore dump again, let's just jump right into it. The group that did this villain team shtick the best was easily the God Generals. Each of them
The what?
has an interesting dynamic with one of the
Hold on.
playable... The God Generals. Each
The
of them
God
has an
Generals.
interesting dynamic with one of the
Nice.
playable characters, ranging from former mentor to alternate self to ex-boyfriend. Oof. You regularly engage in battle
Damn.
against them individually throughout the game, so it's only a matter of time before they face you as a team. Lagretta, Arietta, and Largo all show up to impede your progress. Each of them serves a
Let's
role
do this.
similar to that of one of your party members. Lagretta is the fragile speedster / white mage, Arietta is the black mage, and Largo is the tank. Lagretta is capable of reviving the others. Largo can easily wipe you out, and a single spell from Arietta can easily lead to death. It's difficult, but it's immensely satisfying to pull off.
Ooh,
Honestly,
looks
the only
like it
real
froze for a
problem with them
second
is
there.
that you never get the opportunity to have a proper 4v4 with them. Imagine how cool that would have been. Okay, you kinda get that in the bonus dungeon. Kinda. It's with the
Kind of.
replicas. And yeah, that feels like it doesn't count.
Well, from the non-counting number 3 fights, we move to number 2.
Alright, guys, real talk. I'm biased towards a lot of games that a lot of people like. Despite this,
That's
I'm not
obvious.
going to pretend that these games don't do anything right. And I do want to highlight those moments where it matters. So let's talk about Fire Emblem Engage.
So yeah,
What's
can't
that?
fairly judge this game on my own. Though I know someone who can. Restore us, Emblem of Shamans!
Ah! What's going on?
What
Why am I an
the-
emblem?
Talking about Engage, you want in or no?
Ah! Well, you called the right man for the job. Say what one may about Engage. Even I will admit the designs are too glamorous, the writing's rigid, and the free time mechanics a huge step down from the previous games. But aside from the solid battle system, this game did manage to do one thing better than most of the other modern titles.
Which
the
is?
villains don't completely suck for once.
The Four Hounds are some of the better central antagonists the series has had
Four
recently.
Hounds?
Fun designs,
Okay.
interesting fights, and they have their share of crazy fun moments. Special mention goes to the masochistic Gris, who also doubles as Vale's awkward babysitter.
Oh, that's complicated.
Heck, their fights probably would have been on recurring bosses if the game wasn't so recent. And, well, you know.
So why don't we make up for that here? There are two
Oh.
chapters in this game where you face all of the hounds together. One's in chapter 11, where they hunt you down after stealing the emblem rings, and the other in chapter 17, where your army has collected the 6 remaining rings and is ready to get even. Well, unless you're a DLC pilferer and got up to 13 emblems by this point, but I digress.
Ooh,
In this chapter,
13th
the
emblem.
presumed mastermind Vale is revealed to be a mere puppet leader of the Hounds. They incited her to challenge the heroes within the village that she just burned down. All the while, they resurrected King Hyacinth to be the 6th emblem wielder, which puts his daughters in a bit of emotional turmoil. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I know. 4 Hounds, yet you're fighting 6 bosses. Mind blown yet?
And this fight is amazing. The thicket of flames surrounding the terrain and the solemn falling petals playing throughout the whole fight adds even more to both the atmosphere and challenge.
This is pretty badass looking, so I'll give you props for that.
Each hound makes thorough use of their emblems. Marnie using Roy to set the field ablaze, Mavir with Micaiah being the tanky staff support, Zephyr with Sigurd's extended movement and anti-cavalry arsenal, and of course, Gris on a teleport frenzy with Celica, allowing him to attack your units anywhere. It is such a
Damn.
chaotic fight in all the right ways, and it's just fun to see how these villains utilize your own strats against you. Another thing that makes Engage
That is
bosses stand out
impressive.
is the revival stones that keep them from being one-shot. Each boss in this chapter has at least one of them, so you're not gonna be able to cheese this chapter with one unit sweeping everything. Take your Lysithia versus Death Knights out of here, because this fight demands that you make the most out of all your units if you were to make it out alive.
A lot of
Ooh.
character development happens here as well. We get to see Ivy and Hortensia accept that their father is a broken man, and despite his persuasions, they power through to put him to rest. It's refreshing
He
to see
must
Hyacinth
die.
actually muster what's left of him to express the love he still has for his daughters. Even Vale's fight came off as more tragic, knowing what she's been through. And after the duel, she still tries to help the main characters, at risk of being punished by the Hounds. It's a rare moment in these modern titles where we actually get to see the
Family.
sympathetic aspect of these brainwashed villains be given proper focus.
So that tweet didn't age well.
One healthy sapling does not a burning forest heal.
The Four Hounds,
He's
Vale,
right.
and Hyacinth are all great villains. Having them together in this big fight further cements this chapter as the game's finest one. It's quite cathartic when the Hounds eventually just accept that they can't beat the main characters head-on anymore, and opt for more passive tactics later.
Even though this is absolutely not enough to win me back into Engage, especially since the last few chapters contain unhealthy amounts of Narm. That being said, I still love Fire Emblem, and even if my least favorite installments could do something this well, it goes to show the testament of the series, even at its lowest.
And hey, at least the failed Xenologue version of the Hounds aren't the same characters, so it's not like they can be ruined by being recruitable post-game. Eat your heart out, Awakening.
Alright, that's enough distant games I actually
Yeah,
like.
alright.
Be gone!
Just chuck. Honorable mentions.
The Nort Court Kingdom Hearts, despite the awesome premise, feels really disjointed. Less of a cohesive squad and more of just 3 bosses in the same arena. Odio, Live Alive, mostly Commander-like. Almost made the list since you don't fight much in Wild West, which is ironic. Howling Aces, Cuphead. Closest we get to a squad fight in this game instead of a tag team. Questionable parenting aside. Good King Mogglemog from Final Fantasy XIV. Each Moogle has its own name and traits. Neat.
Oh,
Elite
nice.
Trio, Dream Team. Great fight with versatile teamwork. I just like the Axum Rangers more. It's here at least, so...
I remember them. And now we move on to number 1.
Playtime is over, Star Fox.
Ah, Wolf and
Star
his gang.
Wolf has been a staple rival team across the Star Fox series. They pose as recurring adversaries who interfere with Fox's missions, whether it's under the payroll of Andross or otherwise. The team is led by Wolf O'Donnell, a space pirate and highly skilled pilot on par with Fox himself. He's pompous, malignant, and will
No, I get it. He's not that kind of pirate. I was just making a joke.
never shut up about Fox's father being dead.
I can't stop thinking about it.
He too has his own band of misfits at his beck and call. Leon Pawlowski, the sophisticated yet sadistic assassin, Andrew Oikoni, the whiny nephew of Andross, and Pigma Dengar, the ex-Star Fox pilot who turned his back on the team for his own selfish gains. 4 pilots, more than enough to hunt down each Star Fox member and cut their flight short. They initially debuted in Star Fox 2, where they only fight you one at a time. It's not until 64 that you face them all at once in a proper squad fight. The fights with them are extremely raw, with few scripted moments. Defeating them boils down to getting them off of your flanks and shooting them on the spot. If you can get one consistently within range, you should be able to knock them out right then and there. Of course, it isn't too difficult to swat them with bombs and charge shots before they could do much of anything either. However, if you don't have your fellow pilots with you, then good luck warding these guys off your back, because they're gonna wow you down mercilessly. It's also really annoying that your co-pilots barely even try to fight these guys. What do we hire them for? Their fight gets even more vicious on True Venom. Not only are they more prone to somersaults now, but they will always guard against bombs and charge shots. If it's your first time playing, no doubt you're going to die. A lot here.
Yeah.
It's a really tough fight that will demand your utmost skill and a share of luck to get through. They're really making you work for that true ending. And even after all that, this doesn't mark the end of Star Wolf. They would reappear later in Assault with some noticeable adjustments to the team. Pigma is no longer with them, as he's on his own scavenging whatever aporoid feces he comes across, and Andrew is enjoying his time being humiliated as Andross's successor. In their place comes Panther Caroso, a brooding romantic who apparently has got the hots for Crystal. Yeah, get in line, Goyo. Nice to see that the old dogs aren't left forgotten. Makes it even better considering Wolf would make his true debut in Smash not long after. Wait, is he flipping us off? Do I need to censor that?
Not really.
Sure,
He's
their
got
fights
two
can be
fingers
frustrating
out.
to some people, and you could argue it's not objectively good designed in some areas. But it wasn't horrible, just not what we accustomed ourselves to nowadays. If anything, it just adds all the more to the fun and personality. Even when their fights are recreated in Star Fox 3D and Zero, it still just doesn't measure up to how primal their classic fights are. There's also the Star Fox Command ones, but the less we talk about that, the better. Star Wolf has remained one of the most iconic squad battles in gaming. Between their slimy yet conniving personalities, unparalleled persistence, and vicious battles, they've more than earned their acclaim.
Even though I've never played any of those games, I gotta say, yeah, that is definitely a tough-ass looking fight.
Torture and...
Oh, what's that?
Amazon package just got here, and it's, Can't tell you. It'll ruin the surprise.
Alright, I think I can take a guess. Looks like the next video will be top 10 surprise bosses. Well, anyway, folks, that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link will be in the description below. And I'll see all of you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.